The alien empire feared their ruler, the mighty female alien emperor Seralith. Across 1,000 worlds, her name was enough to quiet armies and freeze even the bravest generals. She was known for her cold eyes, her sharp judgment, and her heart that seemed harder than the strongest metal. One order from her could change the fate of entire planets. She ruled with power, control, and distance. No one touched her heart. No one dared to try. But everything began to change on one strange day. A battle had ended near the edge of her territory. A human space station had been caught in the fire. The structure now floated in space like a wounded beast, broken open, leaking flames and smoke. Seralith arrived to inspect the damage. She stepped out of her royal transport and entered the ruins with several guards behind her, her tall wings folded around her. Her armor shone like dark gold. The air around her felt cold and heavy. Inside the station, she walked through dark hallways filled with sparks, broken metal, and silence. The ground shook under her feet. The station could collapse at any moment. Her guards begged her not to enter so deep, but she ignored them. She wanted to see for herself what had happened. And then she found something unexpected. In the middle of the crashed area, through smoke and falling fire, stood a young human man named Ethan Ward. He was injured, covered in dust, and breathing hard. Yet he did not run. He did not hide. Instead, he stood firmly between danger and a small alien child. The child had pale blue skin and glowing eyes. She was shaking, terrified, and clinging to him. Ethan was using his own body as a shield to protect her from burning debris. Seralith stopped walking. She watched him with surprise. A human, she thought. Weak, small, no armor, no weapon. But he did not move away from danger. The station thundered again. A large metal pipe fell near him. Ethan pushed the child behind his leg and took the hit on his shoulder. He groaned in pain but did not let her go. Seralith's eyes narrowed. She had seen many humans before. Some were brave, some were foolish, but none had ever acted like this, not for a child of another species. Most humans save their own people first. But Ethan was different. He whispered gently to the child, even while bleeding, "You're safe. I won't leave you," he said. His voice was soft, calm, and full of care. It confused Seralith. In her world, no one protected others without expecting something in return. No one risked their life for a stranger, and especially not for someone of another race. Why? Seralith whispered to herself. Why is this human doing this? Another explosion shook the station. The metal floor cracked open beneath Ethan's feet. He lost his balance and slipped. The alien child screamed as they both fell toward a deep shaft below. Ethan tightened his arms around her. He twisted his body so he would land first, taking the full impact. Even in that final moment, he only cared about saving her. Seralith moved before she could think. Her body reacted faster than her mind. She leapt forward and jumped straight into the collapsing shaft. Her powerful wings burst open, slowing her fall. She reached down, grabbed Ethan and the child, and pulled them close. She caught them both before they hit the bottom. The heat, the smoke, the debris, all of it spiraled around them, but she held them firmly in her arms. The station groaned above them, but her wings shielded the human and the child like a giant living armor. For a moment, everything was silent. Ethan opened his eyes slowly. His gaze met hers. He did not scream. He did not beg. He simply looked surprised and grateful. "Thank you," he whispered. A simple word. Just two sounds. But it struck Seralith like a blade cutting through her chest. She felt something strange. A warmth. A spark. Something soft and unfamiliar. Almost like trust. But she had never felt trust from anyone before. Not even from her closest generals. And now, a human had thanked her in the middle of a dying station, while blood dripped from his own wounds. She carried Ethan and the child up the shaft with gentle strength. Her wings beat slowly, lifting them back toward safety. Her guards stared in shock. Their emperor had risked herself to save a single human. No one could believe it, not even Seralith. Her heart, cold for years, trembled. For the first time in her long rule, Seralith felt fear. Not the fear of death, not the fear of losing a battle, not the fear of rebellion or war. No, she felt the fear of something deeper, something she had never faced before, fear of a human's unconditional love. And she knew this moment would change everything. Her rule, her heart, her empire, her future. Everything had begun with one human who refused to let a child suffer, and the emperor who did not understand why, but could not look away. Serelith carried Ethan and the alien child into her royal ship. The great metal doors closed behind them with a loud echo. Her guards walked in silence, still shocked by what they had seen. Never in their lives had they watched the emperor risk herself for a single human. But she said nothing to explain her actions. Ethan lay on a medical bed. His shoulder was bleeding. His clothes were ripped. His breathing was slow. But when the child reached for his hand, he squeezed her fingers gently, even in pain. Serelith stood at the edge of the room, watching quietly. A human, a weak human, but he cared more for others than himself. She had seen warriors who fought with honor. She had seen leaders who spoke of justice. But she had never seen someone so soft, yet so strong in spirit. The child finally stopped crying. She curled up beside Ethan, resting her head on his chest. His hand stayed lightly on her back, comforting her even as he drifted in and out of consciousness. A strange feeling moved through Serelith's heart again. Why did she jump into danger for him? Why did she hold him so carefully? Why did a soft, "Thank you," still echo in her mind? Her second-in-command, General Craven, entered the room. His armor clinked with every step. His expression was stern. "My emperor," he said, bowing low, "it was unsafe for you to enter that collapsing station. You should not have risked your life for a human." Serelith didn't look at him. Her eyes stayed fixed on Ethan. "Leave him alone," she said. The general hesitated. "But he is human, unpredictable, dangerous." Serelith's voice grew colder, but softer. He protected a child with no weapon. He risked everything without fear. That is not danger. That is something else. Craven wanted to argue, but he knew the emperor's tone. This was not a command he could challenge. He bowed again and stepped out. The room fell quiet. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. His vision was blurred. He blinked several times until he saw a tall shadow standing near him. When the blur faded, he realized it was the emperor herself. He tried to sit up, but pain stabbed through his shoulder. Serelith took a step forward before she could stop herself. "Do not move," she said. "You are injured." Ethan relaxed back onto bed. He looked at her carefully. Most humans trembled when they saw her face. Her golden horns, sharp wings, and glowing eyes made even soldiers bow their heads. But Ethan only looked curious. "You saved us," he said softly. Serelith felt that strange warmth again. "You survived because you protected the child." Ethan smiled a little. "Anyone would have done that." "No," Serelith said. "Not anyone." Her voice sounded softer, almost thoughtful. Ethan studied her. "You came into a collapsing station for us. Why would you do that?" Serelith froze for a moment. No one had ever asked her such a direct question. She did not know the answer herself. Instead, she said, "You risked your life for a child you did not know." Ethan shrugged lightly. She was scared. She needed help. His words were simple. His tone was gentle. But to Serelith, they felt powerful. To her people, strength meant victories, weapons, and power. To Ethan, strength meant kindness. She didn't know which one frightened her more. Days passed. Ethan recovered slowly. The small alien child, named Lyra, never left his side. She followed him like a shadow, holding his sleeve, smiling shyly whenever he looked at her. He made her laugh. He taught her little games. He talked to her with kindness she had never known. Serelith watched from a distance most of the time. She stood in doorways. She stood in hallways. She watched through hologlass walls. Her wings stayed still, her face unreadable, yet she was always there. Whenever Ethan spoke to Lyra, Serelith listened. Whenever Ethan fixed a broken tool, she observed. Whenever he thanked a guard or comforted someone, she paid attention. Every moment confused her more. Why was this human so good? One evening, Seralith finally approached him. He was repairing a broken scanner, while Lyra slept nearby, curled in a blanket. "You work even when you are hurt," Seralith said. Ethan looked up at her, surprised she was speaking directly again. "The scanner will help your crew. I can fix small things." "It's nothing." She tilted her head. "You help strangers. You protect a child who is not yours. You work for people who treat you with suspicion." "Why?" Ethan wiped dust from his hands. His smile was soft. "Because life matters," he said. "Every life." Seralith stared at him. No warrior in her empire had ever spoken like that. No advisor. No soldier. No one. Ethan continued, "Maybe I can't fight armies. Maybe I'm not strong like you. But if I can help someone feel safe, then I do it." His words hit her heart like a quiet thunder. She turned away suddenly, hiding the emotion on her face. She did not fear death. She did not fear war. She did not fear enemies. But she feared the warmth in her chest every time this human spoke. She feared that his kindness, soft, gentle, unconditional, was stronger than anything she had ever known. And deep inside, she feared one more thing, that her cold heart was beginning to melt. Days passed on board the Emperor's royal ship, but nothing felt normal anymore. Not for Seralith, not for Ethan, not for the Empire watching from afar. Ethan healed slowly. His shoulder was wrapped in glowing alien bandages. His ribs still hurt when he moved too fast. But every morning he got out of bed, smiled at the child Lyra, and began helping whoever needed help. He fixed broken doors. He repaired damaged screens. He organized scatter tools. And he thanked people even when they were rude. Seralith observed all of this. She did not watch from close range. She stayed at corners, behind glass panels, at high balconies, anywhere she could hide her presence yet still keep her eyes on him. Her guards whispered behind her back, "Why is the Emperor watching a human? What makes him different? Is he a threat?" But they did not understand. Even Seralith didn't understand. Something about the human made her chest feel tight, but not in fear, not in anger, not in discomfort. It was something else, something dangerous. One morning, Ethan worked in the engine hall. The huge room was filled with humming sounds and glowing blue reactors. He was repairing a small sensor tool while Lyra sat on a crate beside him, swinging her legs happily. Seralith watched from a walkway above. Ethan noticed a tired alien worker carrying too many tools. Without hesitation, he stepped forward. "Let me help you," Ethan said. The worker frowned. "Human, I do not need." "It's okay," Ethan said with a soft smile. "Your hands look full." His voice was gentle, simple, pure. The worker blinked, confused. No one had ever spoken to him with such kindness before. Seralith felt her heart twist again. Why did this human make everyone feel seen? Why did his small kindness feel powerful? Her wings folded tighter around her as she watched him. She didn't like these feelings. They made her feel unbalanced, almost weak. An emperor was not supposed to feel. Later that day, Seralith ordered Ethan to meet her in the royal garden, a silent place filled with glowing flowers and tall crystal trees. It was the calmest part of the ship, a place no one visited without permission. Ethan entered slowly, looking around in awe. Lyra held his hand tightly, her eyes glowing softly. Seralith stood near a crystal pond, her reflection shining across the surface. "You asked to see me?" Ethan said respectfully. "Yes," Seralith replied. Her voice was calm, but her heart beat faster. "I want to understand you." Ethan blinked. "Understand me? No human has acted as you have," she said. "You risk yourself for a child who is not your kind. You help strangers with no reward. You smile even when you are treated with fear. Why?" Ethan shrugged gently. "Because it feels right." "But why does it feel right?" she insisted. "Because someone has to be kind," Ethan replied. His answer was plain, simple, soft, but to Seralith, it felt like a strike to her soul. She stepped closer, her wings brushing the air. "Do you not fear me?" she asked. Ethan looked at her for a long moment. "No." Her eyes widened. "Why not?" Because you saved me and Lyra, Ethan said. Anyone who saves lives is not someone to fear. Serelith turned her face slightly away. No one had ever said such words to her. Not her generals. Not her council. Not her people. Ethan spoke again. You're strong, but your heart isn't cold. You just don't let people see it. Serelith froze. He had seen through her. A human, small, fragile, gentle, had looked straight through her armor and wings and crowns and titles and saw her truth. She felt something electric inside her chest. Fear, warmth, confusion, all mixed together. She stepped back suddenly. This conversation is over. But when she tried to leave, Lyra ran forward and grabbed her hand. Serelith stared down at the little child. Lyra giggled and pointed to Ethan. He is good. Serelith felt her heart weaken again. How could one human change so much? That night, Serelith stood alone in the observation hall. Stars stretched before her like endless oceans of light. Yet her thoughts stayed trapped inside the royal ship. Ethan, why did he make her feel things she had buried long ago? Why did she care about his safety? Why did she replay his smile in her mind? Why did his simple words break through her walls? Her childhood had been filled with war. Her rise to the throne was built on discipline, loneliness, and endless expectation. No one had loved her without purpose. No one had held her without fear. No one had gently spoken to her without wanting something in return. But Ethan, he had no reason to care. He had no power. He had no army. He had nothing to gain. And yet he gave kindness freely. A dangerous thought grew inside her. If this human can care so deeply, what else is he capable of? Her wings trembled. She clenched her fists. She did not fear enemies. She did not fear rebels. She did not fear war. But Ethan's heart, soft, gentle, unconditional, was something she could not control, and that scared her more than anything in the galaxy. The royal ship drifted through deep space like a shining moon of metal, calm and quiet on the outside. But inside, something else was happening. Something that none of them knew was coming. Ethan had begun walking again without pain. Lyra held his hand each step, her small fingers wrapped around his gently. She never left him, not even for a moment. To her, he was safety. Serelith watched them from afar. She did not understand why seeing them together softened her chest. She tried to ignore it, but her eyes always found the human, whether he was fixing tools, calming Lyra, or simply smiling at a passing worker. This feeling inside her, it was new and dangerous. But before she could understand it, the danger outside struck first. The ship shook violently. A loud alarm echoed through every hall. Red lights flashed. Guards rushed to their stations. Emergency, a robotic voice shouted. Unauthorized ships approaching. Impact incoming. Ethan grabbed Lyra quickly and shielded her. What's happening? Before he could think, an explosion rocked the entire ship. The floor shook like a wave. Ethan stumbled, falling to one knee, but kept his arms around Lyra. More explosions followed, louder, closer. Serelith burst into the hallway with her generals. Her wings spread wide, armor glowing with royal energy. Who dares attack my ship? She demanded. General Craven stepped forward. Rebel forces, my emperor. They seek to overthrow the throne. They believe you've changed. Serelith's heart tightened. Changed because of the human. Before she could respond, another explosion tore through the walls. Ethan and Lyra were thrown into danger. They ran as fire spread across the hall. Lyra screamed as sparks rained around them. Ethan carried her in his arms and sprinted through smoke, coughing, eyes burning. He reached a sealed door. He pushed it, but it didn't move. Locked. He tried again. Nothing. The alarm screamed louder. Fire grew, and then the door behind him collapsed. A burning metal beam fell from above, aimed straight at Ethan's back. He spun, tried to shield Lyra with his body. He closed his eyes, preparing for the impact, but it never came. A powerful hand grabbed the burning beam, stopping it midair. Ethan opened his eyes. Serelith stood there. Her wings blocked the flames. Her claws held the beam like it weighed nothing. The fire burned her hands, but she did not let go. Her golden eyes glowed with fierce protection. Ethan stared at her. "You came for us?" Serelith growled, lifting the burning beam and throwing it aside. "I will not lose you." Her voice held something Ethan had never heard before: fear. She grabbed him with one arm and lifted Lyra with the other. She pulled him against her chest as the hallway collapsed behind them. Her wings wrapped around both of them like a living shield. She ran through danger as if death meant nothing. Explosions behind her. Fire ahead of her. Smoke trying to swallow them all. But Serelith didn't stop. Her armor cracked. Her wings burned at the edges. Shards of metal hit her back. She hissed in pain, but kept going. "Hold on," she whispered to Ethan and Lyra. "I will not let harm touch you." Ethan held her tightly as she ran. He could feel her heart beating fast. Not from battle, but from fear for their lives. They reached a safe chamber. Guards rushed to them. They bowed, eyes wide with shock. "My Emperor, you're injured." Serelith ignored them. She set Lyra down gently, then helped Ethan stand. Ethan looked at her hands. They were burned, shaking slightly. "You risked everything," he said. Serelith's voice softened in a way her people had never heard. "You are under my protection." Ethan shook his head. "Not because I'm useful. Not because I have information. You saved us because you care." Serelith froze. That word, care, hit her deeper than any weapon ever had. The attack didn't stop. The ship shook again. The rebels were cutting through the outer hull. General Craven burst into the chamber. "My Emperor, we must get you to the command room." "No," Serelith said sharply. "I stay with them." "With humans?" Craven whispered, horrified. Serelith stepped forward, her wings widening, her voice becoming ice. "With this human?" Craven's eyes widened. "The rebels attack because they fear your connection to him." Serelith answered coldly, "Let them fear." Her wings glowed brighter. Her eyes shone like twin suns. No rebel, no general, no threat could take Ethan from her. A final explosion shook the ship. The emergency doors sealed shut. Smoke filled the air again. Ethan looked at Serelith. "We need to move. The rebels won't stop." She nodded, but her voice trembled. "They want to kill you. They think you are making me weak." Ethan shook his head. "You're not weak." Serelith stared at him, heart pounding. She whispered, "But you make me feel things I do not understand." Ethan stepped closer. "Feelings don't make you weak." Her breath caught. His closeness, his honesty, his steady eyes, they made her heart shake in ways she couldn't explain. Before she could speak, Lyra tugged on Ethan's sleeve and pointed at Serelith. "She saved us," the child said softly. Ethan smiled at Serelith, and for the first time in her life, the Emperor looked away, not because of pride, but because she was scared her feelings would show. For the first time ever, the Emperor wasn't afraid of death. She was afraid of losing him. Asterisk, asterisk. And that fear burned stronger than any rebel attack. The rebel attack finally slowed, but the royal ship was still shaking from the damage. Emergency lights glowed red through every hallway. Guards rushed from one station to another, repairing what they could. Everyone was tense and afraid. Everyone except Ethan. He sat beside Lyra in a quiet resting chamber, calming her with soft whispers. His voice was warm and gentle, even though he was tired and covered in dust. Lyra clung to him, her little head resting on his chest. She felt safe there. She trusted him more than anyone. Serelith stood near the doorway, watching them with an expression she didn't show to her people. An expression filled with confusion, fear, and something almost like longing. Her burned hands still shook slightly. Her wings had scorch marks. Her armor had cracks from the falling debris she had blocked to protect Ethan. But none of this mattered to her. The only thing that mattered was that he and Lyra were alive. The council demanded answers. 3 high-ranking advisors entered the room quickly. They bowed but did not hide their worry. "My Emperor, we must speak," said Advisor Vacon. "The rebels attack because they fear the human. They believe you are becoming weak." Serelith's eyes sharpened. "Strength is not measured by who I protect." But the advisors exchanged nervous looks. Another advisor stepped forward. Your Majesty, your actions are unusual. You risked your life for a human. You shielded him with your own wings. The Empire is watching. They will question your decisions. Ethan stood quietly in the corner, listening. He lowered his head, not one to cause trouble. But the tension in the room was heavy. Seralith spoke with a cold, steady voice. I do not answer to fear. I answer to truth. The advisors bowed again, but Vacon added a final warning. If the Empire believes you are emotionally compromised, they will move against you. Please be careful, my Emperor. They left quickly, leaving a thick silence in the chamber. Seralith finally turned to Ethan. Her voice was quieter now, almost trembling. You see? You bring danger to me. Ethan shook his head. No, I didn't bring danger. The rebels did. You don't understand, she said. For years, I have ruled without fear, without weakness, without connections. And now, everything feels different. Ethan stepped a little closer. Different isn't always bad. Seralith's breath caught for a moment. Her golden eyes softened. You confuse me, she whispered. How? Ethan asked gently. You, she swallowed hard. You make my heart feel warm. You make me want to protect you. You make me care. I do not know what to do with these feelings. Ethan's voice stayed warm. Feelings don't make you weak. But Seralith turned away, shaking her head. In my world, they do. She tried to distance herself. After that conversation, Seralith avoided Ethan for an entire day. She hid behind her duties. She walked through the ship, giving orders. She tried to convince herself that she didn't need him near her, but her mind kept drifting back to him. She remembered how he held Lyra, how he smiled even in pain, how he thanked her when she saved him, how he looked at her with no fear. No one had looked at her that way before, not even once. Meanwhile, Ethan continued helping workers, repairing broken tools, and caring for Lyra. He didn't complain. He didn't try to follow Seralith. He simply did what he always did. He helped. His kindness spread through the ship like light in a dark cave. Whispers began. Some workers said, the human is changing the Emperor. Others whispered. She looks at him with softness. General Craven noticed too. He confronted Seralith in the command room. My Emperor, please reconsider allowing a human so close to you. The Council is nervous. The rebels are afraid. The Empire is watching. If they think you are losing control. I am not losing control, Seralith snapped. Craven bowed but spoke bravely. Forgive me, my Emperor, but Ethan is your weakness. Seralith froze. Weakness. That word cut deep. Craven continued cautiously. We must protect the throne. If he becomes a threat. Seralith's voice dropped to a dangerous, icy tone. If anyone touches him, they will not live to regret it. Craven lowered his head and stepped back. Yes, my Emperor. But the look in his eyes showed worry. Ethan notices her distance. Later that night, Ethan found Seralith alone in the dim royal garden. Crystal leaves glowed softly around her. Her wings were folded tight, her posture tense. He approached quietly. You've been avoiding me. Seralith didn't respond. Ethan stood beside her, staring at the glowing pond. You don't have to push me away, he said gently. I'm not here to hurt you. Seralith finally turned her head, her voice trembling slightly. I am afraid. Of what? Ethan asked softly. Of myself. Of these new feelings. Of what they mean. Ethan stepped closer, just one step, but it felt like a bridge between worlds. You're afraid because you care, he said. That's not weakness. That's strength. Seralith closed her eyes. Strength has always meant power, control, fear. But you show strength through kindness, through trust. I do not understand it. Ethan smiled softly. Then learn, one day at a time. For the first time, Seralith felt something warm spread through her chest, a feeling she had never allowed herself to feel before. Hope, but hope was dangerous. Hope could break empires. Hope could change destinies. And deep inside, Seralith knew, this human, this small, gentle, ordinary human, was becoming the most dangerous force in her life. not because he threatened her reign, but because he threatened the walls around her heart. The royal ship floated in silent space after the attack, but inside its walls, tension grew thicker every hour. The rebels had failed, yet their message spread to the Empire like fire. The Emperor is changing. The human is the reason. The throne is in danger. Whispers turned into rumors. Rumors turned into fear. Fear turned into plans. Plans against Ethan. Seralith tried to ignore the growing unrest, but she could feel it in her bones. Every time she walked through her halls, soldiers bowed faster than usual. Advisors avoided her eyes. Even some workers looked at her with caution. She was beginning to lose control over her empire, and all because one human had touched her heart. That evening, Ethan disappeared. Lyra searched for him everywhere. She tugged on guard's armor, calling his name. Her little voice echoed through the halls. Ethan, Ethan! But he didn't answer. Seralith heard the child's cries and felt a cold shock tear through her chest. Fear, real fear, tightened around her heart. She grabbed the nearest guard. "Where's the human?" she demanded. The guard swallowed nervously. He was last seen near the lower chambers. Lower chambers. The most secret areas of the ship. The places where dangerous decisions were made. Seralith's wings flared with burning energy. "Show me." She stormed through the hallways. Every step was a thunderclap. Her armor glowed brighter. Her wings stretched wide and sharp. Workers moved out of her way instantly. Even the boldest soldiers pressed themselves against the walls. They had seen her angry before, but not like this. This was not the anger of a ruler. This was the rage of someone afraid of losing something precious. She reached the lower chambers and heard muffled voices behind a sealed metal door. "Kill him before the Emperor chooses him over us. If she becomes weak, the Empire will fall. We must save her throne from a human." Seralith's blood turned to fire. She ripped the door off its hinges with her bare hands. Inside, Ethan was tied to a chair. His wrists were bound. His cheek was bruised. He looked exhausted but calm. 3 council members stood around him with weapons. They froze when the Emperor stepped inside. Silence filled the room like ice. Seralith's voice shook the air. "What have you done?" One advisor trembled. "My Emperor, please forgive us. We only want to protect you." She stepped forward, eyes blazing. "You dragged him here? You hurt him." Another council member dropped to his knees. "The Empire is afraid. They see how you look at him. They think he is controlling your heart. They fear you will choose him over us." Her wings spread so wide they touched the walls. "I do not fear war. I do not fear rebels. But you," she pointed at them with a trembling claw, "you have made me feel something I hate." "Which is what?" the advisor whispered. Seralith's voice cracked between fury and pain. "Fear of losing him." Everyone stared in shock. Even Ethan. She stepped to Ethan and cut his bindings. He rubbed his wrist gently and looked up at her. "I'm okay," he said softly. But Seralith didn't hear him. She pulled him into her arms, holding him tightly against her chest. Her wings wrapped around him protectively. To anyone watching, it was clear the Emperor loved him, even if she didn't understand it yet. Ethan felt her body shaking. She was afraid. Afraid for him. "Seralith," he whispered. "I'm fine. You came for me." She looked down at him with eyes shining, not with fire, but with fear and relief. "No one takes you from me. No one." The council watched in terror. They had never seen their Emperor hold anyone like this. Seralith faced the traitors. "You tried to kill the one person who shows me true strength. The one person who gives me something no throne ever has." Her voice dropped to a deadly whisper. "Hope." The council members trembled. "Please, Emperor, spare us." But Seralith raised a hand, stopping them. "I should destroy you." Ethan stepped forward. "Seralith, don't kill them." She looked at him sharply. "They hurt you. Fear made them do it," he said. "Fear can blind people." His words cut through her anger. His kindness, again, softened her heart. She turned back to the council. "Leave my sight," she commanded. "But hear my words. If anyone touches this human again, I will end more than your careers. The council fled in terror. Silence filled the chamber. Ethan looked up at Serelith. You protected me again. She exhaled slowly, wings lowering. You do not understand what you do to me. Then tell me, Ethan said gently. Serelith stepped closer until they stood only inches apart. You make me weak, she whispered. You make me strong. You make me feel anger, fear, peace, all at once. I do not know what this is. Ethan smiled softly. It's simple. You care. She looked away, almost shy, an emotion she had never shown anyone. I fear what comes next. Ethan placed his hand gently on her arm. You don't have to face it alone. Her heart skipped. No one had ever said those words to her. No one had ever offered their presence without fear or conditions. In that moment, Serelith made a silent vow in her heart. She would protect him. She would stand beside him. She would face her empire with him, even if the whole galaxy turned against them. The next morning, the royal ship sailed toward the capital world. Erlen Prime, heart of the empire. Tall crystal towers floated above a glowing ocean. Thousands of ships circled the sky. The entire planet waited for the Emperor's arrival. But on the ship, silence filled every corner. Ethan stayed in a small recovery room with Lyra asleep beside him. He gently brushed her hair back, trying to calm his thoughts. His wrists still hurt from the bindings. His cheeks still throbbed from the bruise. But what troubled him most wasn't the pain. It was a look on Serelith's face when she held him, a look filled with fear, longing, and something he dared not name. Outside the door, Serelith stood alone, staring at her own reflection in the sharp metal wall. Her crown felt heavier than ever. Her wings felt heavy too. She whispered to herself, I am an emperor, a ruler, not someone who feels. Yet her heart refused to listen. Ethan's kindness, his bravery, his gentle words, his loyalty to Lyra, his quiet strength, all these things had broken through every wall she had built. She feared what it meant, and yet she also feared losing him more than anything else in the galaxy. The council demanded a public trial. Word of Ethan's rescue spread quickly. The attack, the betrayal, the Emperor's reaction. The Empire grew restless. What was happening to their ruler? Why did a human matter so much to her? Messages flooded the ship from every corner of the Empire. Explain yourself. Prove your strength. Remove the human. Serelith's advisors gathered in the throne hall, all looking nervous. My Emperor, Advisor Vacon said gently, the people fear the human has power over you. They demand to see him. They demand answers. Serelith's voice was calm, but sharp. Then I will give them answers. Kraven's eyes widened. You plan to appear with him publicly? Yes, she said. They accuse him without truth. They fear him without reason. Today, the Empire learns the truth. And that truth would shake the galaxy. Serelith came for Ethan. The door opened softly. Ethan looked up and froze. The Emperor stood there, dressed in full ceremonial armor. Her golden wings stretched tall. Her crown glowed with power. But her eyes were gentle. She stepped inside. Ethan, she said quietly. He stood up slowly. Yes, I need you with me. His heart jumped. With you? She nodded. The Empire awaits us. Ethan stepped closer. Serelith, are you sure? They're afraid. They might hate me. Her wings lowered slightly, as if wrapping around her without touching. Then let them see what I see, she whispered. What do you see? He asked softly. Serelith looked straight into his eyes. A heart stronger than mine. Ethan felt warmth spread through his chest. She extended her hand to him. Walk with me. And he did. The throne hall of Erlen Prime was enormous. Tall pillars of crystal reached the sky. Thousands of citizens filled the balconies. Holographic screens displayed her entrance across the capital. When Serelith stepped inside, the room bowed in silence. But when they saw Ethan beside her, gasps echoed everywhere. Shock spread across every face. A human walking with the Emperor? Impossible. Unthinkable. Unacceptable. Serelith felt the fear in the room. She felt the judgment. The suspicion. But she also felt Ethan standing close to her, calm, steady, brave, despite the thousands of eyes watching him. She raised a hand, and silence grew even heavier. "I stand before you," she said, her voice echoing across the hall, "to speak the truth." The crowd leaned forward. "You fear that this human has weakened me, that he has changed me, that he threatens the throne." Her wings spread wide. "You are correct." The hall exploded with whispers. Ethan held his breath. Seralith lifted her chin proudly. "Yes," she continued, "he has changed me. He has softened my heart. He has shown me a strength no warrior ever has. A strength not born from fear, but from love." A wave of shock rolled across the room. Seralith stepped closer to Ethan. This human risked his life for a child who was not his own. He faced fire, pain, and death without expecting anything in return. Her voice warmed, trembling slightly. "In him, I found something I thought I lost long ago, hope." Ethan gently touched her arm, offering silent support. She continued, "You call it weakness. I call it truth. You call it danger. I call it courage. You call it shame. I call it strength." The hall fell silent again. Seralith turned slowly and took Ethan's hand in front of thousands. Gasps, shock, disbelief, but her voice remained strong. "I choose him," she said. "I choose his kindness. I choose his heart. And if my empire fears this, then let them learn what true strength looks like." Ethan's eyes softened. He squeezed her hand gently. In that moment, the greatest ruler in the galaxy showed vulnerability. Openly, proudly, the hall trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of a new truth. The Emperor loved a human, and she was no longer afraid of the feeling. Lyra ran in suddenly. She pushed past guards and sprinted toward Ethan. He lifted her into his arms. The crowd watched as the little alien child hugged him tightly, face full of trust. Seralith looked at them, Ethan holding Lyra, both safe under her protection, and felt her heart settle. For the first time in her life, she felt complete, loved, trusted, seen. The galaxy had changed forever, not by war, not by power, not by fear, but by the unconditional love of one human, and the alien emperor who finally accepted it.